Back here on the Rich Eisen Show. Look who's here from The Athletic and Fox Sports, Bruce Feldman. That was a very tepid round of applause right there. I could barely hear
I noticed he didn't even look at me when I walked in, so I feel like we need to clear
Are we
the
on the
air.
outs?
I hope not.
Evidently.
No, we're great. We're great.
I hope not. I because you give us such great information, we're going to give you such great information as well. One of our callers from, where is he from? South Carolina called in? Right, no, Pete from Hilton Head, right?
Pete from Hilton Head,
yeah. He's already said it's Alabama over Texas. It's over.
Yeah.
But he told us by how many touchdowns too, right?
Yeah, Texas beats Washington by 2 touchdowns.
There you go.
They're the 3-point spread right now,
right.
And then Alabama wins by 10.
Okay. There you go.
Pete's dominant.
Don't even need to play the games.
So,
look, anything can happen with this for I feel like nothing would shock me.
I think any of the 4 can win it all, right? When you think?
Yeah, this is the first year where I feel like, it was such a stretch to think TCU could have come out of there and won. I mean, the fact that they won was something, but
that's one word for it.
Something.
Yeah, but it does feel like out of any of the previous college football,
no doubt,
right?
So I have some stories that are coming up later, beginning of next week about team breakdowns from talking to coaches who faced all 4 of the teams.
Yes.
And Washington has had a lot of tough games, but there's a lot of respect for Washington and the coaches because they keep grinding and finds ways to win. And there's something to be said for that. Whereas, Texas, obviously they had the big win against Alabama and Tuscaloosa, but it's not a great Big 12. And look who they play, played a really mediocre Oklahoma State team in the Big 12 title game. They did have to win without Ewers. We had a close game that we were at for Big Noon against K-State, but I think it is a little different in terms of, Washington. There is a resilience there. Obviously, Alabama, Nick Saban. Michigan had a different kind of adversity, but it's still adversity, and it's a really experienced team.
So this is what you're hearing. Bruce Feldman of The Athletic and Fox Sports here on the Rich Eisen Show, usual Wednesday spot. We were just talking on our Roku channel stream, we're saying hello to our radio audience here, that this is the most wide open college football playoff that you've seen. And I would agree. I think any of the 4 teams can win it. They've got, quarterbacks that can get hot and win it and just go ahead and have defenses that can make enough plays and win it. The coaches come into the equation here. I mean, this is pretty big for Sarkisian too, right? I mean, this is his...
Yeah, and he has evolved so much from the guy who used to coach at Washington or even the one who struggled at USC, because I think the time at Alabama, he took some of the best things from Nick Saban. Literally took some of the best assistant coaches that Nick Saban had on that staff, brought him. But, for all the flash of him being a play caller, I think he realizes we need to be physical. We need to be in the trenches, nasty team. And they have that. And so, they're a dangerous team because they have a lot of speed at receiver. They have a streaky quarterback, and they have good big people. And that right now, I think could win them a national title.
Do you think the Heisman Trophy voters got it right?
Sure. It's not like I voted. My top guy was Michael Penix Jr. A lot of respect to Jaden Daniels, but I just thought, if Jaden Daniels isn't the quarterback there, they had a terrible, historically bad LSU defense. The only thing was in the games that they lost, like I would argue he wasn't the better quarterback against Florida State. They were down 45-17 with a minute left in that game. Yeah, their defense was getting shelled, but it wasn't like, he had a 75-yard touchdown pass in the last minute of the game, and then when they played Alabama, Jalen Milroe went off in that game. They were both spectacular, but one guy got, Daniels, terrific year, but to me, Michael Penix Jr., what he did at that program, I think the evolution of him from the guy who was so banged up, had so many injuries at Indiana, they were a mess when Kalen DeBoer took over and brought him in there. And I just thought to me, he was my top guy. Now Bo Nix was deserving. I think Jaden Daniels was deserving. It's anybody could have won that.
Bruce Feldman here on the Rich Eisen Show. Okay, so we're in free agency right now, right? That's what we're at right now?
Oh, my God, yeah.
So what's the story? What's leaping out at to you about what we're seeing right now?
The quarterback market is crazy right now. Probably the biggest name in there now is Cameron Ward, who started his career at a small school, Incarnate Word in Texas, put up huge numbers, followed his offense coordinator to Pullman, put up really good numbers in the Pac-12. There's, some of the things we're hearing is if you want to be in the Cam Ward market, you may have to pay $1.5 million, which is not an insignificant amount of money, right, at this point. He's a guy who could go to the NFL, but I don't think he would be, one of those top guys right now. I mean, he's got good size. He can extend plays. He's got a quick release, but he's been a little inconsistent. But he also doesn't have the talent around him some of these other guys who are on the top of the draft probably do. He's visiting Miami right now as we speak. Is he a guy that Ohio State tries to jump in on? I mean, there's been a lot of speculation about where else he could be going.
Well, they need a quarterback.
They do. I mean, I know that they have some optimism about Devin Brown, who is a younger quarterback who's going to play Mizzou in the Cotton Bowl. So we'll see, because, I mean, the bar obviously in Columbus for quarterback play is sky high after what they've had. Different versions of it, whether it's, a dual threat guy like Fields or C.J. Stroud was pretty close to flawless.
Right now you've got one kid who is the offensive rookie of the year in the NFL, and you got one kid who's quarterbacking Texas in the college football playoffs, who left because Stroud was there for one more year.
Yeah, no, he was barely there. Like, he was there for
he was there for a year, wasn't he?
He was there for a few months.
Okay.
So, but he, like, the weird thing about Ewer's time there was, he left his high school a year early, because there was an NIL situation where he couldn't get money, so he could get up there. Went there. I don't think he ever had a chance to really compete for that starting job the way it was set up. I went in there, and then
Stroud was there. I mean, what do you?
Yeah, so, I mean, no shame in that, but it's like you're going to go in the at the middle of training camp and think you're going to win a starting job. That's not realistic. Not even realistic to think you're going to be the backup.
Right. So what is going on with Arch Manning? Because is Ewers going anywhere? I mean,
everything I'd heard was that he was expected to stay another year. Now he'll probably
just sit and watch.
Well, I'm saying that Ewer stays, and then all of a sudden, Arch. I mean, there's a guy in between them who's also really talented, Malik Murphy, who's way bigger, has a terrific arm, hasn't played that much, didn't play that much in high school, and he was the guy who took over when Ewers got hurt. I think, from everything I heard, the staff really likes Arch Manning. The consistency is a challenge right now. It's up and down. He's a young quarterback.
He's a baby.
Yeah,
I know, but he's a Manning as well, and so like they're already probably counting about how many years it is down to his second NFL contract right now. I'm sorry,
is that the big rush though? Like, I mean, like, what's the best thing for his development? When you knew you're sending him from there, and it wasn't like the level of competition he was facing where he was in high school was like he was playing modern day or Bosco's schedule out here, where they're playing the best of the best in high school. So it's like, I think they're, they have to be savvy enough to sit there and go, okay, what's the best thing long term? Because if you throw somebody into a situation because you want it right now, it's probably going to be to the detriment. Like, if you believe in Steve Sarkisian and he's a terrific play caller, and he's been proven to be really, really good with college quarterbacks, ride it out. Like, learn behind yours. You're going to, I think they're only going to keep recruiting better and better after this playoff run. Is it that big of a rush? Lord knows they don't need the money. So, like, just ride the development part of it out. I mean, could he go on the field someplace else next year if Ewers comes back? Of course he could play someplace else. But is that ultimately the best thing for him? I mean, look, far be it for me or you to judge, to give advice to the Mannings about quarterbacks.
Yeah, I know. And here I'm just assuming. No, but here I am. I don't mean to lump you in, but here I am wondering that the best way to get better would be to get the experience going, right, and to get the playing going, and because again, I mean, you take a look at what's going on in the NFL right now. Who are the guys who are surprising with their play early on in their careers? It's the ones who have 40 career starts in college.
Right.
35, 40 career starts in college. I mean, Jake Browning, you know all about him from Washington. It's not like he's just fell off a turnip truck.
No.
I mean, and Brock Purdy in Iowa State. Like that's. So I'm just wondering if anybody does know about the development of quarterbacks more than any other human beings. It is the Manning family. That's the only reason why I asked. Certainly,
it's an interesting dynamic because if you're them, do you sit there and go, would it have been wiser for us to go to TCU? Now, I think at the time TCU was pretty confident in Chandler Morris, but like, would you go to some place like that as opposed to sitting? Like LSU's backup is really talented, right? It's Doug Nussmeier's son, Garrett. He's been behind Jaden Daniels, for the last 2 years. And he's played some, but it's like, ultimately, what's the best? Like, where do you want to be? And then what's the best situation in terms of for guys who are going to play? Because as you said, now look, I mean, the two guys who are also with Jaden Daniels at the Heisman transferred, played a lot at Auburn, played a lot at Indiana, and then went up there. And blossomed, really blossomed in years 3 and 4. So, I don't think it's one size fits all because, like, Joe Burrow didn't play at Ohio State at all. Then he had 1 year at LSU where it was kind of they were evolving in what they did scheme-wise. And then the next year, he's the greatest quarterback I've seen in college. Right. So, I don't think it's necessarily that way. But, yeah, the trend says that right now.
Bruce Feldman here on the Rich Eisen Show. What do you make of Prime's week, Deion's week? We had Jordan Seaton here. He was a terrific kid and large and exactly the type of left tackle that you'd want to have and build around. And then Deion filled out the rest of the line through
keep going
portal, so
that's exactly what he needs. Now, like the pressure's going to be on Phil Lodeholt, who is a former towering offensive lineman at Oklahoma, is a young offensive line coach who is now the offensive line guy, to bring those guys together, right? Now, I still think, they have 6, they need it, and they've lost a couple of guys on the other end of the portal, like the starting center is going someplace else, and they need to hit that really hard, and they need to develop it because they were so bad up front. They were so bad in the trenches. I don't think it's unrealistic for them where, like, I think you go from 1 win to 4 wins, and that's positive. I think they could go to 9 wins next year, but again, it's hard. Like Miami had basically the Jordan Seaton of last year. Francis Maui Noah is a giant of a man, freak athlete, was on our top 10 in our freaks list, had a really strong freshman year. But it's a different position, it's like, it's hard for offensive tackles or offensive linemen to come in and be impact guys, but he can certainly be much better than what they had last year, and I think that's a building block. And I think these other guys who have played especially the guys who started in the Power 5, even if they're not like elite linemen, if they're better than probably what they had. Now the question is, can you bring everybody together? Because I think Shedeur is really, really good, and I think they do have good skill guys around them. It's just they were a long way away from being a top 25 team. They were in the beginning of the year,
right?
But it was like, you beat a Nebraska team that's not very good. You beat Colorado State, who was obviously not very good. They had a couple other games they should have won. Stanford, there's a few others where they probably could have got bowl eligible. But from talking to a lot of coaches, it's like this is what they need to do. But they need to keep going. It's not just, hey, we got 5 guys who played somewhere, it'll be better. I mean, they were so bad up front. That's the challenge, is to get from, it's hard to go from bad in the offensive line. It's hard to go from awful in the offensive line to great. You have to go to at some point you have to get to mediocre, and at least then you go to decent. And can they get to there?
But they filled a need in the last 5 days.
Yeah, right? I think it's, but I don't think it's just like, okay, now we got 5 or 6 guys. Now we're going to go from 4 wins to 10 wins. I think there's now the heavy lifting really happens.
Bruce Feldman here on the Rich Eisen Show. Before I let you go, let's enter a portal of our own. Let's go a month from now. Jim Harbaugh is where 1 month from now?
A month from now.
What is it? He is what?
January 15th?
January 15th.
My guess.
By the way,
this is a guess.
And by the way, let me just finish setting this thing up. As the NFL has changed their rules and on who you can interview and when. certainly for coaches who are in the league to go and interview other people's assistants and things of that nature, or in the playoffs, they have changed their rules. So January 15th, right? Or what do you have? Let's just say January 15th, whatever it is. January 15th, 2024, Jim Harbaugh is where?
Jim Harbaugh, who's never been have an agent guy as a coach, Jim Harbaugh may have an agent at that point. And this is a guess. That's a slightly informed guess. I would think Jim Harbaugh is entertaining offers from the NFL.
So he has not signed a contract with Michigan, has not signed a contract extension with Michigan by January 15th.
I don't think so. I really don't.
What if he does win it all?
I think he's definitely going to.
Then he's going to the NFL if he wins it all, is what you're saying.
Yes. Because if he does, mission accomplished. I have never won a Super Bowl. My brothers won a Super Bowl. I've never won. I came close. Mm-hmm. I mean, you think if he wins a national title, he's staying there forever?
I don't know. I think Michigan might give him the contract he wants. And
what's the contract? Michigan can't give him, I don't think, what he wants most.
Which is a Lombardi trophy.
Yes. Again,
you can buy those at Tiffany, by the way, $20,000.
Yeah. Far be it for me to say this because it's not my money. But if Michigan's going to pay him $10 million or $12 million, is it really that big of a difference?
Between the NFL and Michigan?
No, I'm saying if Michigan's going to say, hey, we're going to pay you $10 million a year as opposed to $12 million.
Right.
Is it really a difference at that point with the money? Again, I don't have that kind of money.
Yeah, I don't know about you.
I don't want to speak for you guys.
Shohei Ohtani, look at this guy over here. But, no, I understand what you're saying. I can pick up what you're saying. But
it's the Super Bowl part of it.
Michigan can never satisfy that.
No, they can't. And I think if I'm you, I'm like, please get us the national title, and then I'll see you at the draft or whatever, kind of thing. I'm not even going to speak.
So then, who would be the next guy there? Would there just be an open competition, or would they?
Look, Sharon's done as good an argument as you could have hoped. He led them to a bunch of wins against big teams, and the kids play hard for him, and he can, will he have to grow into the job? Yes. But I think short of you, look, right now as we're doing this, to me, the biggest winner of the coaching carousel this year is Kansas, because Lance Leipold is still in Kansas. If that job comes open, if I'm Michigan, do I look and say, well, if we're not really ready to give it to Sharon because we're just not sure if he's ready to take over full go, then go try to get the guy from Kansas, because that guy works miracles, and that guy knows what it takes to develop a culture and build, and because he keeps proving it. But short of that, again, I think Michigan can put the biggest offer in front of Jim they want. I just think the one thing they can't do for him is to get him a Super Bowl chance.
Bruce Feldman here on the Rich Eisen Show. Thank you for the time. We'll see you next week.
Okay.
We're on the cusp of the most wonderful time of the year.
We're already at the most wonderful time. We got bowls this weekend.
Who do we got?
Oh,
who do we got?
Let's take a look.
I don't know. What do you got?
We have a bowl in Los Angeles where UCLA is playing Boise State.
Is that Kimmel's bowl?
Is it the Gronk Bowl? I should know this. I thought there was Gronk.
Gronk has a bowl?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What are you looking at me like I should know this stuff?
We have the Myrtle Beach Bowl.
Myrtle Beach Bowl.
Georgia,
what are the portions
Southern, and Ohio.
The Myrtle Beach Bowl?
What?
We got the Cricket Celebration Bowl.
Of course we do.
Howard and Florida A&M
yes.
in Atlanta. We got Jackson State and Louisiana in the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl.
You work with Pep Hamilton now, right?
I haven't seen him around the shop. Okay.
We got the Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl.
Is that the name of it?
Yes.
These are great.
Isleta, New Mexico Bowl. The Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl.
That's all this weekend?
And the Starco Brands LA Bowl, UCLA and Boise State.
There you go.
All this weekend. All on Saturday.
I thought that was Gronk had some kind of affiliation with one of the bowls.
I thought he did too, because we talked about it.
What's the name of the bowl that UCLA is in? This is not this is not the rallying cry.
It used to be the Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah, Starco Brands LA Bowl. I think it's at SoFi, right?
Is that right? Okay. Yeah, that's not usually the rallying cry around Westwood, is it?
No, I don't think it is.
Thanks for the time, Bruce. We'll
Good
talk about the
guys.
Starco Bowl next week and so much more right here on The Rich Eisen Show. Catch The Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.